Assalamualaikum. I'm Deba and you are watching your own channel Audiovisual Books. With the daily editorial and opinion section of Daily Dawn, I am here explaining The Infection by Naseem Salahuddin. Swarms of SARS-CoV-2 virus wreck the globe, striking mortal fear of COVID-19 into the hearts of humankind. Images of disease and death flashing across our screens are heartrending, and while despair argues with hope, or denial with intelligent acceptance, decision makers are faced with an agonizing choice: death of the people or of the economy. Alas, we have already crossed the Rubicon, and the government here has given precedence to financial advantage for the masses over ill health. Regrettably, neither is the economy visible escalating, nor are appeals for disease control being accepted by the multitudes. Reminder, please, and intimidation for the implementation of physical distancing and hand washing and wearing masks are falling on deaf ears. Poverty, illiteracy, and dense population are a recipe for non-observance of these basic precautions. Rediwala, Thelawala, and laborers are unlikely to change ingrained habits. What is unfortunate but not surprising is that large segments of our population remain unconvinced that the virus is real and life-threatening. Rather than indulge in blame games and recrimination, experts along with health professionals ought to address the reasonable concerns of society and plan strategies to mitigate them. I place before all reader facts presently known in the scientific world and how they pertain to our population. SARS-CoV-2 virus is a distant cousin of the SARS-1 virus that caused a serious outbreak of pneumonia in China in 2002-2003 and spread to several European countries, but physical distancing and masking contain further transmissions. Specialists must be given ample opportunity to explain and discuss the virus. Similarly, MERS, first diagnosed in Saudi Arabia in 2012, spread to countries in the Middle East and still smolders, albeit in negligible numbers. Although far fewer people were infected, the number of deaths were disproportionately high. By contrast, SARS-CoV-2 is playing havoc with lives. More people are affected because it spreads almost entirely through the upper respiratory tract, namely the nose and the throat. A cough or sneeze sprays virus-laden droplets into the air. Tete-a-tete or hearty laughter among friends, once thought to be the elixir of life, are now feared and shunned. Being in a close proximity to a person hosting the virus and long exposure in closed spaces increases the chances of inhaling the virus. When the inhaled viral load is high and host immunity depressed, the lungs are vulnerable. Fever, cough, and shortness of breath indicate inflammation of the lung tissues, resulting in poor oxygen exchange. Irreversible complications may follow, resulting in permanent damage to other vital organs. COVID RT-PCR done through nasopharyngeal swabbing, though not a perfect test, remains the only dependable investigation to date. A positive test clearly means the virus genetic material, that is RNA, is present, while a negative result may not be truly negative depending upon several factors and may have to be repeated if there remains clinical suspicion of COVID 19. The much hyped antibody test is only helpful in surveying if people in certain communities have experienced the infection and then recovered. It does not confirm the presence of active infection and is not reliable test for diagnosis. The behavior of the virus over the past several months has been puzzling and even inexplicable to virologists. The virus is novel. Its course is unpredictable, and therefore we are frequently lost for answers. What is categorically understood is that it can reside silently in the body. It can behave insidiously or assault violently. It can attack adults and very occasionally children. However, people with chronic illness are those with the compromised immunity fare poorly. Laboratory tests and their interpretation are often misunderstood by the inexperienced, resulting in misinterpretation and waste of time and precious resources. Drugs prescribed injudiciously further complicate the healing process. Many as yet unproven drugs presently under trial might kill the virus in laboratory experiments but not necessarily inside the human body. Several drugs, earlier thought to prevent or treat COVID 19, have been discredited, while some are presently under trial across the world. Only a safe and effective vaccine will give respite from the pandemic. Currently, several vaccine candidates are under trial, of which some may prove to be safe and effective, while others may fail the standards. In any case, one should not expect a good vaccine before late 2021. Bulletins from professional sources are delivered periodically as more scientific information unfolds about the behavior of the elusive virus and its control. Anxiety regarding COVID 19 is not entirely over the escalating number of positive cases. Fortunately, 4 out of 5 affected people recover completely, while statistically, one patient out of 5 will feel air hunger from low oxygen levels in the blood. These are the patients who should go to a hospital for evaluation and triaging to determine who needs only observation and supportive care and who qualifies for urgent care. As numbers swell, waiting areas and emergency rooms overflow with sick patients and anxious families. Laboratory facilities are strained. Beds in special COVID 19 units fill up rapidly. Cost of care spirals. Caregivers are stressed, even quarantined, and workforce dwindles. Often anxious families making unreasonable demands turn violent, and security is unable to control the crowd effectively. It is not unusual to witness scenes of grief turning into pandemonium as a dead body is trundled out of the ward. So, how can health professionals help? In a high populated country where illiteracy reigns, creative way of spreading knowledge rather than information via radio, television, and social media are the best modalities. What we often witness on such programs is sensationalism of virus statistics, insensitively accented by shrill voices and background clamor. What is needed are information rich programs in which specialists are given ample opportunity to inform the audience without having to compete with the moderators who are often impatient and unprepared in terms of relevant questions. Professional media clinics would earn the gratitude of millions of viewers whose fears stem from ignorance and the uncertainty of coronavirus outcomes. SARS CoV 2 is here to stay, but the least we can do is to help our fellow beings in distress.